still do the scheduling, healthcare appointments, deep house cleaning, yard work, and cooking for my...
So the full video is her reading a Dear Karen advice column question from a woman who's wondering why, even as she works 55 plus hours a week at an out-of-the-home job and her husband works a handful of hours at home with his work from home job, why so much of the domestic labor still falls on her. And she mentions in the advice question that the guy still will like make food for the kid and, you know, take the kid to daycare and stuff like that. But as she says, the deep cleaning, the scheduling, etc., all still falls on her. And that's one of the things with domestic labor, with unpaid labor, that gets so often overlooked, is that the people who are not doing the labor, predominantly men, don't see it happening, so they aren't aware of it existing. And the only time that they really notice that it exists is when the person who's doing all that work gets fed up and stops doing it. And I'm lucky in that my husband definitely is better than a lot of dads. Like he does a lot of cleaning too, and cooking and stuff like that. But yeah, the scheduling still all falls on me. And I can understand why it's easier to have one person doing the scheduling so that you're not overlapping on each other. But even when I'm trying to talk about something like, you know, a weird letter from the bank that we got, or determining if we should switch health insurance, you know, when they show if they have multiple options through his employer, and he'll just be like, I don't know, you pick. And I'm just like, I don't know this stuff. Like, I hate doing taxes. I hate legal forms. I read that stuff and it just, whoosh. And, you know, I'll look up the terms, like the legal terms and stuff, but I don't feel comfortable with that stuff either. But he will just, and so I have to do it. Scheduling appointments and stuff like that. You know, like my husband hates going to the doctor, and he just a few days ago actually called trying to find an urgent care that he could go to for the VA that wasn't all the way down in Portland, because he started having really intense pains in his stomach and thought maybe his appendix was bursting. And by the time he managed to go to a VA hospital, which he did have to go all the way down to Portland to even see it, the pain was gone. So luckily that wasn't it. And after this happened, you know, after like 2 or 3 hours of him calling around trying to find a place, which was really surprising to me that he was doing it, I was like, hey, well, let's schedule the urgent care clinic just down the street from us. You have to be an established patient through, is it Providence? I can't remember what insurance we're on right now. No, Anthem Blue Cross. We had to switch over because the employer changed. You have to be an established patient to use the urgent care, and so they wouldn't let him see it. And so I'm like, well, hey, let's get you a regular doctor so that next time you have an immediate concern, you can go to the urgent care. And he was like, but why? I already have a VA doctor. And I'm like, you literally just had to drive all the way into Portland to see urgent care because you're not established. Ready. Anyway. So yeah, you know, like I said, my husband's better than a lot of other husbands out there. And, you know, I'm sure there's single dads or primary parent dads out there whose wives don't make the appointments, but those are the outliers, because there's this bullshit narrative that gets spread around that, like, oh, women are just more organized. Women are better at handling all that stuff, for the people that even acknowledge that that kind of stuff exists. And yet you can't, you try to have like a female CEO or whatever, and people are like, oh, they're too emotional. That's just, yeah. Anyway, just wanted to say that, again, when you hear conversations about domestic labor, unpaid labor, etc., it's not just about the cooking and cleaning, because a lot of guys will be like, well, I cook and clean too. It's all the other stuff too, dude. It's all the appointment making and the going to the bank and the, you know, paying, making sure that the bills get paid on time and dealing with sick kids and stuff like that. Every statistical study shows that it predominantly falls on women. So it's good that, you know, you help with the cleaning and the cooking and everything, but don't think that you're doing it 50-50 if you have not ever scheduled a dentist appointment or taken the kid to the dentist appointment or any of that other stuff. And all that's without even touching emotional labor, which is a whole other burden that does tend to predominantly fall on women as well.